Sactown Sports.
Taking you up to 2 p.m. And there was a lot of feel-good in the first hour. And why wouldn't there be with the Kings capping off their best win of the season with the Dennis Schroeder 3 as a game winner. The beam was out and about, a holiday beam. You know we have to love that. But there are some confusing things happening throughout the team. And the most confusing one has obviously been the decision to not play Malik Monk. Now, last night, Malik did get, let me see what he got here. He did get 5 minutes. 5 minutes, a huge ovation from the fans, 2 points, 1 field goal. He did weirdly miss both free throws.
I wouldn't call it weirdly.
Yeah.
He had no rhythm last night.
That's true.
Because he hadn't played in 2.5 games.
That's true. Well,
and he was trying to find himself the entire 5 minutes he was on the floor.
Well, funny enough, Doug did kind of speak to that. So this is kind of the play-by-play that we have for you. All of it is prior to the game, okay? So Jason Anderson spoke with Malik Monk prior to the game in an exclusive interview with the Sac B. We also have Doug going a little bit more in depth on the Malik Monk decision. So I think the way I want to approach this is with the Malik Monk stuff first, and then we will get into what Doug Christie had to say and just kind of go at all of it, to be honest with you. All right, so let's start with the exclusive interview, just some excerpts from it. Go check out the whole thing on the Sac B. I just pulled most of the quotes for you. So Malik Monk was asked by Jason Anderson what that conversation looked like when Doug Christie, approached him and said, hey, this is the deal. You're going to be out of the rotation a little bit. We're just trying something new. So Malik Monk says this. He just told me he's trying something new. That's basically it. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll be ready whenever my name is called. So that was pretty much it. And then Jason Anderson goes on to write, Monk wasn't expected to play as he sat in front of his locker room about an hour before Sunday's game. He talked about supporting his teammates and staying ready for his next opportunity. But he admitted to being confused by his coach's decision. Quote, 1,000%, Monk said, but it's not my job to figure out why I'm not playing because I deem myself more than the whole. So I'll just be ready when my name is called. Monk tried to sound unbothered, saying, I've been in the league long enough where I don't let this stuff get to me, but he couldn't hide his real feelings. Quote, everybody knows I want to be out there, especially playing in front of this crowd in Sac. But there ain't bleep I can do about it. That is from Malik Monk. All right. Now, let's get to some of the quotes that Doug Christie had on the Malik Monk front. Yeah, let's hear from him, Ramsey, and what he had to say.
Shauna took my question, so I'll ask you this. You went to Malik late in the third for just a few minutes. What went into that decision and you never went back to him?
It's always, it was the same way when Malik was playing and Keon was there, and it was like, how are we feeling? What am I feeling with them? Is one playing? And Keon wasn't terrible, but Malik brought in energy. The crowd gave that energy back. He came in, got a bucket, and I told him after the game, I appreciate you for being a pro. That's part of what it is to be a part of a team and a good teammate. It was big time for him. It was 5 minutes, but they were a really good 5 minutes that we needed, and he supplied it.
So that was Doug Christie after the game, okay? He was also asked about it before the game, and here's some of the back and forths. He was asked, when you're going through this process of figuring all this out, how much do you look at and consider lowering the minutes of everybody else in order to make room for the guard there and play everybody? What are the challenges that come with trying to figure that out? Christie said, yeah, there's a lot of challenges. You can't play everybody. It's just the nature of the NBA. This isn't a participation trophy. This is professional sports. And right now we have a logjam, but everybody's in play. I mean, if someone isn't playing great, there's a really good chance that someone's going to play. If someone isn't playing to our standard of competitiveness of all the different things that we value, then obviously there's a strong possibility that they're going to come out of the game. So let me stop there, because that's my first question. I'll say it like that. I'm in a good mood. That's my first question to what Doug is saying. Because in my opinion, he's contradicting himself, right? And I get it. It could be both. But is it a logjam, or did Malik do something wrong? Okay? Because if he did something wrong, the same way Keon fouled Reed Sheppard before the end of the first half, it'd be kind of nice to know that. It was very clear when Malik came in that it was because Doug didn't like the foul that Keon committed, okay? But we're kind of saying two things, and maybe it is a little bit of both, but that's too easy of an answer for me. I don't want to go down that path because that's a cop-out, and I don't feel like copping out.
Not just that, in my opinion. Keon had been getting his cardio on for the 2 nights in a row. Yeah. He had zeros on the stat line Saturday night and had two rebounds last night.
Yeah.
So Keon, I'm sorry, those that know me, I'm not the biggest fan of Keon. Keon, it's about that time. You need to go back on the bench. We need Malik Monk back in the lineup.
Well, there's a reason that Doug has made this decision, Ramsey, and that goes right into this next quote. Are there moments where you're looking down the bench and you're having trouble scoring in the fourth quarter, and you look at Malik Monk and you think, well, maybe? Christie says, I mean, at that point, he's been sitting for hours. We're talking about offense. And to be honest with you, I thought the defensive effort, the intensity, the physicality, the rebounding, all those things, we've obviously had scoring, and we were 5 in whatever we were. So that didn't work. So for me, leaning on defense as we build toward the greatness that I see here, defense has to be the standard that we set. Offensively, that will come because a lot of times your defense creates your offense. What I do know is if you play no defense, you're taking the ball out of bounds and you're facing a set defense. So that's exponentially harder. So for me, defense first. And I understand all the different things that go with the team, but we have to play to a standard that allows us to compete in these last 2 games, which means, Malik, with you in the game, we can't. That's how Ramsey, as a long time ago former athlete, I'm hearing I'm the problem, right?
Here's my take on the situation. Those that want to act like it, which to me is untrue, people act like Malik plays no defense. Malik, to me, plays similar, if not a little better defense than Keon. They both like to be opportunistic and gamble. In my opinion, I feel Malik is quicker than Keon, in my opinion. Plus, he tries to go for the dynamic play sometimes on defense, and sometimes you have to hide him. But at the same time, you definitely got to hide Keon, too. Keon will gamble, and as we saw last night, and I'm going to point it out again, how many times did Keon gamble and Reed Sheppard, or I think once or twice Josh Okogie, I don't think he hit. But I know for damn sure in that first half, Reed Sheppard, and I'm not even talking about the foul, or one of the bigs, was wide open in the corner in the first half for a corner 3.
Right.
Why? Because Keon Ellis over-rotated.
Now, look, I'm not going to agree with you on the Malik Keon thing, but there is somebody else that I am going to bring up, okay, when it comes to these comparisons. Let me continue with this quote here. This was just as far as how many guards and all those things, we chose to go in a different direction for the time being. That doesn't mean he's out of the rotation. All those things he could be in very well tonight. We'll see. But whoever hits that floor, we want you to play with a certain level of physicality, intensity, and all those things. There's going to be ups and downs. But when it comes to the bulk of it, on multiple mistakes and all those things, play with heart, intensity, focus, the name on the front, not the name on the back. Okay, all the things that we've heard before. Then he gets asked, did you have a conversation with Malik Monk before that first Portland game? Christie says, yeah. Then he says, how was he receptive to that? Christie says, it was fine. Listen, I've been in that position. Nobody wants to have that happen to them. So as a competitor, you want to be out there. You want to play. And like I said, everybody's in play. Even in that game, you're in play. When he was playing, who was the odd man out? Keon. But now Keon's playing. He's the odd man out. It's just mathematics. It ain't got nothing to do with anything personal. This job is a different animal. But I ain't ducking nothing. I'm here. We going to figure it out. And when we do, then, ... pettiness will rise to the top. Now, Brendan, I don't know what he means by that. Brendan said that he did say it. He was like, I guess, half laughing when he said it. I guess it was trying to lighten the mood a little bit. But I'm not even, to me, it's not even about Keon versus Malik. This is where I'm taking this, Ramsey. When you have situations like this and you decide to now say, if you mess up, if somebody messes up, you're going to be held accountable. I think the tough part is that line of who has to handle that accountability, right? Because it's not just that you went to Keon. It's not just about Keon. The brother's got 7 wins. So at some point, everybody should be getting pulled. If you're going to run it like this, right, and if it's all about basketball, if you're going to run it like this, why is it only Malik that's having to see that side of it? Why is it not about when DeMar DeRozan is a ball vacuum? Why is it not about when Russell Westbrook forgets what team he's playing on and is turning the ball over everywhere? When Zach LaVine comes back, okay, and he's taken some time from Zach LaVine before, but Zach LaVine, if it's about defense, then Zach LaVine, no way that brother should be getting 30 minutes. When you say stuff like that, and if that's what it is, cool. But the standard has to be the standard for everybody. We've watched this team lose games before. The reality is there's redundancy. It's not really about a logjam. It's about redundancy. I saw somebody else say this yesterday. If it's about a logjam, how was Malik getting playing time when Zach LaVine was also playing? How does that happen? How does Malik and Keon, to a certain extent, how did all of them get time when Zach LaVine is not even playing? If Zach LaVine was playing, this is completely different, right? So to me, it's not necessarily about the idea of holding players accountable. It's about the idea that you're only showing that accountability to certain guys.
And then I've got another question when it comes to playing time about somebody else. Why did Dario Saric see the floor?
I don't know.
Why did Dario Saric
I would talk
see
to
the
somebody
floor?
who remained nameless, and they said, I don't really care about matchups. Malik deserves time over Dario Saric, and I don't care if they don't play the same position.
Thank you.
Right? I mean, I get it. He's searching for things. All I'm saying is when you open the accountability can of worms, now you allow people to pick, and Doug says he's not ducking no smoke. Now you allow people to pick and choose and say, hey, Doug, well, Russell Westbrook just turned the ball over a couple times. And let me be clear. Doug has given Russ some time on the bench. Doug has given Zach LaVine some time on the bench. So the guys that we know he's not afraid to hold accountable in that way, Russ, LaVine, Malik, and Keon.
I mean, let's just look at last night. Dennis Schroeder played 32 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Westbrook played 29. And no disrespect to Russ, he did hit the big three, but the man was 8 of 24.
Yeah.
It was 5 of 12 from 3 last night.
Yeah.
He took more shots almost combined. He took more shots almost combined than Keegan Murray and Maxime Renaud. Granted, 2 different players, but I need Keegan. Just getting into shot selection, I need Keegan to take some more shots too.
So those are 4 guys that I count that is part of the accountability. There are other guys on the team that are not part of that accountability. And I've joked about this before, right? When my junior year, when we had that senior who I don't even know if he was hitting 200, but he started every game in center field because it was a new coach and he wasn't trying to tick off any of the seniors. I am not going to disrespect DeMar DeRozan because he can get a bucket when you need a bucket. My point is, if you're doing the accountability thing, you're allowing people to poke holes in that if you don't hold it for everyone, because this team is not very good. So if you're going to do the accountability thing, especially if one of those people you're holding accountable is Malik Monk, then you're leaving yourself open for people to then say, well, what about DeMar DeRozan? He just got beat on a back cut. Is he going to ride the bench? Maybe he will. Maybe he will. But right now, the only person that we've seen get an official, hey, I'm going to talk to you, you're going to sit this one out, Playboy. The only one that's happened to is Malik Monk. And the crazy part is we don't even know, again, the Keon thing, he hit Reed Shepherd, he shouldn't have done it, and he sat. We don't know what happened. Was there a play? That's what I want to ask, Doug. Was there a play or what was it? Because now we're doing two different things.
I think it was a culmination of everything that Keon did last night, and it culminated in him hitting Reed Shepard 3 times on that shot to finish the first half.
Well, but again, we know that. We don't know what happened with Malik.
That is the conundrum. He's
saying got to play with the standard. Got to do this. Got to do that. So my question would be, so what did Malik not do? What did he not do? Because he's saying all this.
That is the enigma that those of us that are not Doug Christie have been trying to figure out since Thursday.
So again, I'll give Doug credit. He has done this before. Zach LaVine wasn't closing games. That's not a DNP, but Zach LaVine wasn't closing games. A couple games with Russ not really getting that much time when he was going ice, ice, baby. We've obviously seen it with Keon, and we've seen it with Malik. Okay, so that's 4 of the guys that are all essentially part of that guard logjam. So maybe it's as simple as DeMar is not part of that logjam. So if DeMar makes a mistake, maybe it's a logjam thing, right? Maybe, hey, you can make less mistakes. When I got multiple guards, I don't really have a lot of guys the size of DeMar.
And not just that, at the moment currently constructed, DeMar DeRozan is your number 1 scorer. So you can't... I don't want to say you cannot, but you leave yourself highly vulnerable if you wanted to punish DeMar DeRozan the way the roster is set up today.
I'm not saying no. But I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying when you start this accountability thing, there are a lot of fans out there. I know you're a DeMar DeRozan guy, Ramsey. There are a lot of people that are not, right? So now you hold yourself open to, hey, Doug, DeMar DeRozan, of whatever, got beat on the back screen, but he stayed in the game. What's up? Right? Now, that's not how you approach media, but fan-wise, it's just going to go back to, hey, well, I thought we were doing this accountability thing. Malik gets pulled whenever he makes a mistake. Keon gets pulled whenever he makes a mistake. Zach LaVine gets pulled if you just don't really like what you're seeing, but that's not the case with everybody else. And still to this moment, nobody, even the other guys that we've mentioned, nobody got a straight up talking to before the game saying, hey, we're going to skip up. Now, maybe that's Doug trying to give Malik his respect, but again, it comes off. And now you have the 3 games where they have played better. I'll tell you what, and I joked about, I talk about this all the time. I was not a good teammate. I was not a good teammate. If they did, Ramsey, you know how salty I would be? And that, look, maybe if I was getting paid $18 million, I'd be less salty. But if Temple if the left fielder, as I'm sitting on the bench, if the left fielder hit a walk-off home run who took my spot, do you know how salty I would be?
Oh, I feel it. I'm the same way.
I'm just keeping it 1,000. Everybody would be jumping up in the air. Yeah, we won. We beat Villanova. Oh, I mean, it's cool, but why couldn't it have been the second baseman?
Somebody.
Come on, man. Why did it have to be my guy? The other 2 hitter. You got me messed up. So now, if you're Malik, what actually are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? You're Malik Monk. You just got told. Well, number one, I'd say, well, what did I do, right? Because there's 2 things. Is it about a mistake I made, or is it about the logjam? Because here's the other part of it. Malik played 5 minutes, and that's the question that Trissy asked, but why didn't you go back? And now Doug is trying to kind of pretty up the 5 minutes that Malik played. The crowd got into it. It was 5 minutes. Well, come on. It was 5 minutes.
And Doug stuck with the lineup in the 4th quarter that got him back in the game when they had the 12-0 run. It was a 12-0 run after they were down 100 to 86. They had a 12-0 run to get back within 2 to make it 198, and he stuck with that group as long as he could. Mm-hmm. But sometimes, even when you're in that middle of that run, I get it. You want to stick with them as long as possible. But sometimes you got to have a pulse. This run is over, starting to slip. Let me make a small move somewhere within it. But in terms of last night, I understand why he didn't go back to Malik Monk. The 5 minutes were great that he came in the 3rd quarter, but as I said earlier, Malik was trying to find his rhythm because it had been 2.5 games he hadn't stepped on the floor. Mm-hmm. He couldn't find a rhythm. He looked slightly out of sorts. Plus, at the time, he was playing off ball.
Yeah.
Schroeder was running the point. in my opinion, if you're going to have Malik on the floor in the second unit, let Malik play on ball. Let him run the point because that gets him in his rhythm. That gets him in his flow. And not saying the ball's going to find energy with Malik at any point in time. It has been established since he's been in Sacramento. The ball finds energy.
Yeah.
So if you put the ball in Malik's hands and let him run point, the ball's going to flow. It's going to move.
Well, and here's the thing, okay? Russ, 4 turnovers. He only had 4 assists last night, but he did have 13 rebounds. But you know what, Ramsey? We're sitting here talking about Malik Monk versus Keon Ellis when really it's not about either of them. The reality is Nick Clifford played 27 minutes. And when you start to look towards the future of this team, I don't know how many people would be upset about that. I know I wouldn't be upset about it.
No, but I don't think there's too many at all that are upset about it because they know what Nick is, meaning, quote unquote, he is the future. And he's allowed, and he only had 1 turnover, but he's a player being in his first year that has a little slack on his rope because this is his first year in the NBA. He's going to have some welcome to NBA moments. So therefore, you got to give him a little leeway, allow him to make a basketball play mistake or 2, rather than the first time he makes a mistake, he's gone. He's not going to learn like that.
But that again, you're proving my point though, because now it just becomes a weird situation where only some guys get that line. Nick Clifford was a first rounder drafted by this new regime. I don't want Nick Clifford going out after 1 bad play. I don't want that. I want him to play through it. We talked about it last week. He's got to play through it. I'm just saying deciding to go in the direction of the accountability, the defense, and you got to play to our certain standard. The only thing I can take from that is that Malik Monk was not doing that. I don't know what else I'm supposed to take from that. Hey, if guys aren't playing to our standard, then they're not going to be in, right? If guys aren't playing to our standard, then they're not going to play. Okay, well, Malik Monk played 5, Keon played 9. So neither of them brothers played to the King standard, apparently. So it just was an interesting way to go. I don't necessarily know the other directions Doug could have taken it, but now he just opens himself up to if somebody is playing through a bunch of mistakes, right? And I guess the cop-out would be, or the answer would be, well, yeah, Russ turned the ball over, but he was still giving effort here. Or, well, yeah, this happened, but this player was still doing this. So I guess you can say that. Basically, Malik Monk is completely useless if he's not scoring the basketball. That's kind of what it sounds like. And now, with the 3 most competitive games that the Kings have had, there is no end in sight for this. I think that's also the weird thing. How does this end? How does this end for Malik Monk, right? What happens next? You're only going to get Zach LaVine back and get more of a logjam. So I don't know how this thing ends. I don't know how this thing ends. All I do know is that when you start throwing that word around accountability and you got people starting to poke at different mistakes that players make, it can get a little dicey. So that's what I got on that. And let's continue this conversation. We got some text to read through on the other side as well. Zach LaVine and others. How does this new approach, if you will, affect the Kings as we're all just still waiting for a trade? Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.
Call Maverick Electrical to claim your free furnace tune-up or electrical safety check with a donation.